Hi Ebbers, welcome back to the Yapping Bricks. Today, we have the LEGO Technic Mercedes-AMG F1 W14. This is a rather pretty set. I went into this set curious about two main things. First, whether LEGO actually hid any meaningful mechanical systems inside, and second, how accurate this would be compared to the actual W14 that raced in 2023. I expect this set to focus way more on looks than mechanism. I think this will be a display model with some minor mechanisms sprinkled in. Let's take a look at the box before we start. The first thing that caught my attention when looking at the box is the teal color. I think they did a good job choosing the color theme for the box, since this teal is the exact shade of Petronas teal, which is one of the principal sponsors for the team. The box art also lines up nicely with the actual W14. All in all, well done for the design. Let's take a look at the back of the box. I think LEGO could have gave us more than just a single image of the real car. Maybe a shot of it on the track to set the scene a bit more. And with that, let's start building. In bag 1, we are building the front suspension and steering system. This is one of the most satisfying parts of the entire build. The push-rod suspension is super smooth and is very accurate to the real car. You can see how solid the front assembly is. The rack and pinion steering is tight with no slop and is very responsive, which is exactly what you want in a Technic build. In bag 2, we move on to building the central structure. This structure isn't very complex, but it is solid. In bag 3, we are building the most technical mechanism of the entire build. We are building the pull rod rear suspension, the differential, the drive shaft linkages, and the rear wheel hubs. The rear suspension is cleverly hidden inside the frame, just like the real W14. The differential also feels amazing. It is responsive and is very smooth. We can test it by holding one wheel and seeing that the other still rotates when we move the drive shaft. Bag 4 adds the rear wing, which includes a manually adjustable DRS flap. This part is a little flimsy since it's only attached with 2 bars. In bag 5, we are building the engine. The model managed to capture the V6 engine of the real car. The pistons move smoothly when you roll the car, and the configuration is accurate to the real F1 power unit. Bag 6 builds the floor plate, while bags 7 and 8 wraps the chassis. These bags are purely aesthetic with no mechanisms at all. A few of the panels are only hanging on by a single pin, which makes them feel a little fragile. It is also hard to interpret some of the steps since they only show a before and after image of the model without any arrow. I think LEGO could have done better by showing where the pins are supposed to go by using arrows to point to the exact holes to insert it into, especially when the parts have back contrast. Bag 9 builds the front wing. It replicates the real front wing very accurately and is surprisingly sturdy. Bag 10 adds the airbox and on top of it, the steering knob. The placement of the steering knob is great, but the actual steering mechanism feels extremely stiff. When the tires are installed, the tires generate too much friction and the gearing isn't strong enough, so the knob really struggles to turn the wheel unless the car is already rolling. It is one of the few points where the set feels a little under-designed. Bag 11 adds the mirror and the halo. These are solid, simple, and look very accurate. In bag 12, we finish with a removable engine cover and install the wheels. The removable cover looks nice, but structurally it is one of the weakest parts of the set, since it is not solidly connected to the car, but it does offer an easy way for us to see the engine block. Putting the wheels on is also surprisingly hard, since the wheel mounts are freely moving. It is much easier to mount the wheels first before snapping the covers. And with that, we are done with the build. Let's see what the model can do. First, we have the front suspension. Next, we have the back suspension. Then, we have a manually movable DRS flap. We also have a removable engine cover that reveals the engine block. The pistons within the engine block will move as the wheel moves. Connected to the engine is the next feature, which is the working differential, allowing each wheel to move independently of the other. Lastly, we have a working steering that is connected to the steering wheel and the steering knob. In conclusion, this is what I grade this set as. The full grading criteria is in the description. All in all, I think that this is a fantastic display model as the proportions are accurate, the color scheme matches the real car very well, and it looks premium and polished from every angle. However, I think it is rather lacking in the mechanisms, making it more like an icon set than a Technic set. The suspension and drivetrain are great, but the rest of the set leans heavily into the aesthetics. The steering knob being nearly unusable is probably the biggest flaw for me, since it is one of the larger mechanisms in this set. If you are an F1 fan, especially a Mercedes fan, you will love this on your shelf. But if you are a Technic fan, this is one of those sets that you can pass on. With that, we have come to the end of the review for the Mercedes F1 set. Drop a like if you liked the video, and subscribe if you want to see more of these reviews. I have a few lined up in the coming future. Thanks for watching again. See you in the next one.